Shalom Aleichem everyone, we're continuing Hachzeg's learning of the Pele Yoetz, day number 208, another one-day chapter called Halbana, humiliating and embarrassing others. It's very well known, the prohibition of embarrassing another person publicly. The Gemara says you have no portion awaiting you in the world to come. You cause such embarrassment to another person publicly, you shame them, you lost your portion in the world to come. Rabbi Chazal teach us, better that a person should throw themselves into a fiery furnace and let themselves get burned up to smithereens. Do not, instead of embarrassing your friend publicly. How great is the honor and the respect that you have to have for another person, that chas v'chalila you would ever cause them even 1 ounce of shame or embarrassment or pain. You're better off if you have a choice to jump into the fiery furnace and save yourself from the embarrassment. We learn out from Yehuda and Tamar. Yehuda was accusing Tamar of having illicit relations. She knew that the child that was inside of her was from Yehuda himself, but instead of embarrassing him and saying it's your child, she just sent him a message. And she left it up to him. If he would deny it, she would end up being thrown into the fiery furnace to die. And that's what we learn out over here. So careful a person has to be, even when you know that you are justified and you are in the right and the other person is the wrong. Chas v'chalila, not to embarrass another yid. Selim elokim. What right do we have to embarrass someone? Says the Pele Yoetz, V'hein ba'avain Rabbi me'am ha'aretz ki yariv bein anoshim. Unfortunately, many amaratzim, many ignorant people, they think that when there are arguments between each other, mecharfin and megadfin zeh, they end up disgracing and putting down one another. V'cholecha maskim hu mechaveroi, and each one begins mentioning the blemishes and the deficiencies of his friend. They even say, I remember 20 years ago you did such a thing. And I remember 15 years ago when you did X, Y, and Z. And I knew I could never trust you because you're such a person. Remember 10 years ago when you did this to that person? They start mentioning all of these terrible things that a person did. Not just that. They even mention deficiencies and faults that the person does not have, but they're just in that zone right now of embarrassing him and putting him to shame. Anything can come out of their mouth that they want. It's true, says the Pele Yoetz, that when you begin spreading lies about this person, you accuse him of things that he never did or attributes that he doesn't have, it's true that you're doing moitzi shema, you're slandering his name. But when you shame him and you embarrass him for the things that he does have in him, his faults and the mistakes that he made previously in life, that's much more chamor, that's much worse. That when you accuse him of having a midah, a trait that he doesn't have, or doing something he didn't do, you're lying and you're being moitzi shema, you're spreading slanders, lies about him. So his embarrassment is not so great because he knows that he didn't do such a thing. Just like if you would mention things that he did, sins that he did 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Okay, it's been a long time. He tried to do tshuva. He got over it. He moved on in life. It doesn't embarrass him so much. Also, however, when it comes to embarrassing a person for the faults that they do have, for the deficiencies that are found in his character, for the sinful things that he has actually done recently and the like. Also, the blood, the red blood from his veins leave him. And he turns pale white like a ghost. And say Chazal over there, that's like shoifich damim, it's like spilling his blood. It's like you killed him. I think the Maral writes over there on that Chazal, that is the pshat. What is killing? Killing is when you cut into a person and their blood spills and they have no longer have any life. When you embarrass and you shame a person, what happens? That embarrassment causes some kind of reaction in the heart. The blood stops pumping momentarily and suddenly all the red color goes out of their face and the next thing you know, they are pale, like a white sheet. That, he says, is tantamount to killing a person. And therefore, a person has to be so careful. You shame somebody, you embarrass somebody, you make fun of them, you put them down for the things that they have actually done. It's a terrible thing. And somebody who embarrasses his friend in such a manner, he'll never do tshuva. Because he thinks to himself, I did a sin? I did something wrong by embarrassing him? I only said the truth. He really is. He's a very irrational person. He gets angry all the time. He could be so mean. I've seen him, the way that he treats his wife. Such a mean person. I saw him. I was in his house for Shabbos meals the last few months. I saw him patch his kid every single time. Am I saying something false? I'm saying the truth. This person who was embarrassing the other one, he never thinks. He doesn't realize that embarrassing another person, causing them shame, that the red blood from their body is going to leave them and they're going to become white and pale as a ghost as a result of that shame and embarrassment. They don't realize how severe of a sin it is, that you should rather give up your life, Rahman al-Islam, than to embarrass another Jew. Sometimes you can even embarrass somebody without thinking about it and not even realizing it. For example, you speak in front of the person about his movement, about his spiritual, emotional, physical blemishes, whatever he might have. And you speak about the genus, the lowliness of the actions and the deeds that he's done, maybe the sins that he committed. Even though you have no intention to embarrass him, you just stop, you're having a conversation with him, there's a few other people around, and you're mentioning to this person, he did X, Y, and Z. You're not intending to embarrass him. I don't know what you were thinking, why it's not going to embarrass him. And in a roundabout way, you will. And for that, says the Pele Yoetz, he got caught into the dust over here, into the ways of halbana, of embarrassing him. You're like in this web of a halbana, of embarrassing. You didn't even realize it. And therefore, says the Pele Yoetz, let me give you a piece of advice. Being silent, not saying a word, certainly about another person, is the best. It's the best medicine. Because the more that a person speaks, they'll never be saved and rescued from sin. Because the more that you speak, the more you'll stop thinking about the words that you are saying, and you won't realize what you are saying, and words are going to end up leaving your lips that you wish that you could take back, but you can never really take them back. Instead, you are inadvertently being malbin b'nei chaveroi, and for that, says the Pele Yoetz, it is a terrible thing that a person has to be aware of. However, if the reason that you want to embarrass another person is because you want to help them separate themselves from the world of sin that they are in, for example, you have a person who transgresses the words of Torah, and you went privately to him and you gave him teichacha, you rebuked him, you said, listen, Yankala, how is it possible that you continue to speak Lashon Hara the way that you do? Yankala, how is it possible that you cheat people in your business? You know the Torah has a large parashas in the Torah, all about honesty and being ehrlich in business. How can you be doing this? And you tell him, you got to stop. You're better than that. You're an ehrlich person. You have to stop that. And he doesn't listen. And you tried several times. He just doesn't listen. Says the Pele Yoetz, in that case, when you went b'seisa kadas, you went privately and you tried to rebuke him in the right way. But he doesn't listen to you, and he continues to go in his impure ways. So that what do you do? Then it is fitting for such a person that you should embarrass him and you should shame him and you should put him down publicly in order that he will return and repent from his evil ways, and go in the ways of goodness and those that are good as well. Says the Pele Yoetz, there is maybe one place where you're allowed to actually shame a person, and that is the man that doesn't listen to anything you have to say. and he keeps doing one sin after another, and the only way that you can get him to stop is if you cause him public embarrassment. Now, in today's world, not so pashut, not so simple that is going to work. On the other hand, it could end up pushing the person farther and farther and farther away. You have to be very, very careful. You have to think a lot before you make such a decision. But Lamaisa, if it would come to such a thing, go and ask your local Orthodox rabbi, ask your Rabbi, ask him what you should do in such a case. Should you reveal the sins of this person in public to embarrass them? Or should you keep it under the rug over here and just keep trying the way that you are to get them to do the right thing? A very shver shayla, a very difficult thing to know in today's world. We live in a delicate, sensitive generation. Everybody's like an egg that's ready to crack at any minute. And Khalila, you wouldn't want to push a person farther away from Yiddishkeit as a result of your demonstrative words of how much you're shaming him. So it has to be done with a lot of seichel, a lot of chachma, a lot of wisdom, and a lot of shikol adas. You have to weigh it out in the right way to make sure that you're doing things properly. But Lamais, at the end of the day, says the Pele Yoetz, Habanis b'nei chavero, embarrassing another person, making their face turn white. It's mamish like shvichas damim, like killing them. It's like murder. You'll never do tshuva because you don't think you did anything wrong. And therefore be aware of the words of Chazal, the severity that they placed to this. Even when you get in an argument with somebody, it's not a free ride, which means that you don't have license to go and just say anything you want about that person. Keep things ehrlich, keep things right. If there's a contention between two people, leave it to yourselves. Don't go and don't spread and don't say things in public, because chas v'chalila, you'll be over in habanis pnei chaver, which is not a good thing at all. Have a wonderful day. All the best.